It is the Rams Den 2025 kickoff special. Of course, no intro video. I'm your host, Lenzel Graham. I got two very big special guests in the building with me this evening, I guess you could say. Um, Listen, man, this is something new, something different that we just gonna do tonight. It is the 2025 kickoff special where we just gonna give some bold predictions and just discuss some things that we just want to uh I guess give to the people out there. My special guests, I just jump right into them. I got B Wall and Riley Davis. My guys, how are y'all? How was you all's new year, things like that. What's been going on?
B-Wall, you want to go
Yeah,
first?
yeah, I'll kick things off. It's been a great Christmas break. Always good to be home with family. It's been a pretty good time, honestly. Genuinely no complaints right now. I'm just kind of thankful to be here, get some time off and to relax really, but great Christmas break and I'm excited to do this show with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was good Christmas season, good time with family. Just a peek behind the curtain as the time of recording this, I'd recently wrapped up Carry On, which before recording, Linzel said you will find better acting on the 94 Feet of UNC podcast than you will in that movie. I unfortunately have to agree. Fun little Christmas time action movie, I guess. But yeah, as a whole, I'm excited to talk a little bit of hoops, man. It feels like it's been too long since college basketball's been on TV, to be honest with you. It's like, I don't know if any of the true sickos out there are watching the Diamond Head Classic with like Oregon State and Nebraska. I am not one of those people. But if you are, I salute you. But it was a nice little break from covering the sport, but I'm ready to start to tune back in and really see how UNC fares as they move toward conference play after the little Campbell tune-up, which maybe we'll have already happened by the time this is recording. We don't know, but yeah, looking forward to it.
Either way, it's a W. We ain't even go. No need to sit back and worry like, ooh, are we gonna win this? Like, we know that's a W. It's in the Smith Center, and it is what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? So but nah, yeah, y'all know I just wanted to put this together. Of course, you all already know that once again, the Discord that we're all in has asked for this. They've been waiting for this. And my thing was I just figured, you know what, for the first episode for 2025. Let's just kick off the Rams Den. Well, it's a different title now, but
Outside
I
Carolina.
like that. Yeah, it's outside Carolina, but I like the Rams Den, so I wanted to stick with that. The 2025 kickoff special, and we just gonna just discuss. Honestly, listen, it's about college basketball, but at the same time, it's about all of the sports. It's about what we're excited for in football, what we're excited for if you watch the NBA, whatever the case may be, baseball, whatever. It's like it's an early wrap up, like my man Skills would do at the end of every year, or Uncle Murda, I guess you could say. But when they do their little wrap ups, but let's get right into it, man. Like Riley, I do know B has a question that he wants to ask you. But I'm gonna let him ask you this question. I think it's perfect to go ahead and ask it and get it out of the way. B, I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, let's kick things right on off. The Riley Sleepers, the podcast that we've mentioned. Where are we at with that? How are we feeling about those prospects?
Great question. Let's just say I still haven't talked to Greg Carter about it. I need accountability. If there's one thing I've learned in my life, my follow through is always the greatest. That's why sometimes I run a little bit late. That's why I have to set reminders on my phone or put something on my calendar for it to actually happen. To my credit, because of I'm not even gonna give myself credit. I'm just more so an explanation. Like when I record with Greg and Carter, for one, it's been over a week since we've recorded. We were off for Christmas. But for two, sometimes we end up bantering for 5 minutes before just catching up on life. And then by the time we're done recording, I'm like, oh, shoot, either my son's waking up from his nap or I got to go like get to my real job or something along those lines, to where it usually falls through the cracks when I'm like, oh, by the way, I got some guys who want to collaborate. So again, hopefully by the time this airs, I will have gotten the ball rolling to say, yo, let's make this happen. Let's first goal for 2025 is to make the collab happen sometime next year.
Let's do it. That sounds good.
I mean, listen, we've only been asking for like 8 months, Riley. I mean, I'm kidding,
8 months is a bit ambitious. But hey, that's where we need to. I like to stand as. You and I both, or all three of us, know there are some people online, some UNC fans online that tend to think Sleepers is anti-UNC, and I've dispelled that notion numerous times. Sometimes people just got to learn, we have fun. We make a lot of jokes. We make a lot of jokes at teams, players, and coaches' expense, and sometimes UNC is caught in the crossfires of that. So, but I do think doing a show like that would be fun, just to talk a little UNC and get their unfiltered thoughts. So, very much want to make it happen.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Listen, I'm right. I'm right there with you. I think Greg and Carter do have a little disdain towards UNC. I'm gonna be honest. And I think it's more so to do with. I mean, I mentioned this to you. I think it has to do with Michigan State can't really never get over the hump with Carolina, even though they did this year. Which has happened. When's the last time that's happened? As far as Michigan, I mean, the Chris Webber timeout, I don't think Greg is over that. Like, I think he feels some type of way about it or whatever. My only thing is, I just want even though yes, it's content, things like that. Like, listen, I'm all for it. It is what it is, but we need some more defense, Riley. Like, come on, man. Like,
what is there for me to defend right now? We're 7-5. We don't have any 5 stars lined up for next year. I don't want to be. Oh man, now you're gonna get me too pessimistic, and we're gonna get Discord members mad at me again. Look, I love Carolina. I really hope they can turn it around in conference play. If you look at the ACC, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to. They should get to let's say we handle business against Campbell. That should be a nice 30-point dub at least. Campbell's really bad. What conference are they? They're in the CAA now. They're still basically a Big South team. That's a league that has historically fared really poorly against power conference competition. I think we handle business at home with the Dean Dome. So if we're sitting at 8-5 going into conference play, I would say on the more ambitious end, I think the most likely outcome for UNC is they go 13-7 in league play, and they're sitting at, what would that be, 21-12 going into the ACC tournament. You get a couple wins in the ACC tournament. You're probably, if you're at 23 wins going into Selection Sunday, UNC will be on the right side of the bubble. I think they can do that. I believe that's probably the most likely outcome for this team, but I can't see them making it out of the first weekend, and that's why man, we're Carolina, the standard at Carolina. And look, I'll throw a little Michigan State diss if this makes you feel better, Linzel. Michigan State. So, and Carter would say this too, too many Michigan State fans, they hang their hat on how many consecutive tournaments that Izzo has made, even if they're getting bounced in the first or second round. Because and they've been getting bounced in the first or second round pretty much every year since, I guess 2 years ago with Tyson Walker. They had that nice little run to the Sweet 16, but since that Final Four run when they beat Duke, they've been on this first weekend and exits pretty much every year since then. The standard at Michigan State's higher than that. The standard at Carolina is higher than that. And that's why maybe sometimes I let too much negativity get in my mind. I just want to see our program be restored to its former glory. It wasn't too long ago when we had Luke May and Kenny Williams and that class that experienced nothing but 1 and 2 seeds and got a national championship along the way. I still think we can do that. So maybe I just need to lean into historical precedents with my defense for why UNC will be back up eventually.
Okay. I guess. B, what do you think, man? Like, what's your issue with the sleepers? I guess you could say with Greg and Carter. Just so I let this be known, there is no real problems with Greg and Carter. Like, listen, I've never met them. I think what they do is amazing. I think they do excellent work over there as sleepers. There is no beef or anything like that. So I don't want anybody to get that confused or anything like that. Like, this is just like a friendly back and forth, friendly debate that we're trying to get Riley to set up, which, you know, he's had
I drag my feet. I admit that. I drag my feet. It's a flaw. I'm working on it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So,
New
but
Year,
big
same
supporters of Greg and Carter. Yeah, big supporters of Greg and Carter, man. They do an amazing job. But B, what's your situation with Greg and Carter and Dion?
No, honestly,
Let's not
like
forget Dion.
I've talked to Greg once before. Riley connected me with him through a friend of mine. Love Greg, love Riley. Riley's been my boy for a while. Haven't talked to Carter before, but outside of like the UNC Discord, I genuinely do enjoy like the friendly banter. I see some of the jokes, and I'm a neutral observer. I will say, like, when they're talking about Carolina, like, my fandom can stand in the way, but I also see the vision. I see what they're doing. I see like I just mentioned, the friendly banter, and more so than anything, I would be excited just to hop on that pod and just sort of, give some of that friendly banter, those like little jabs back, like right back at them, but in a way that lets them know that, like, I'm not here to, threaten you. I'm just adding to the discourse and hopefully engaging in the podcast with them in a manner that they would like respect. So I love it. I love what they've done. I don't know when I first became aware of sleepers, but I know that they've grown over the years, and watching them like sort of branch out and do other sports as well has been cool to see.
Yeah, we appreciate that. I feel like it's been a ton of fun for me I've been, I guess, really engaged over the past year and a half now, as far as doing more regular content with Greg and Carter. So it's been a lot, and Dion too. I got to give a shout out to him and my man, Brian Ralph, who hops on a lot of videos as well. But yeah, it's been fun to grow that. And I think it's like, and I know, Zell, I know it's all love. I know you don't actually have any beef, and I know you love to chop it up and talk UNC. So I don't take any offense to it. And but it's like you've experienced, Linzel. I think doing the video stuff, interviewing players, coaches, etc. Like that's the fun part of it. And when you can just like goof off and make some jokes in there, bring some entertainment into college basketball coverage, like that's what it's all about. That's what we enjoy. So
yeah, and that's like you said, that is exactly what it's all about. Like, I tell anybody, like, I'm not, because a lot of people will be like, when I talk to a lot of people, they'll the first thing they'll say is, "Oh, so you're in this now competitive space where you're competing with everybody and stuff." And to me, I never look at it like that, because am I a competitor? Absolutely. But at the same time, I look at it like this space that we're all in, it's enough for everybody. Like, I'm not here to try to compete with anybody or anything. I'm just here to do Linzel. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not here to try and get the fast track to millions of subscribers or anything like that. Like, no, I'm here at my own pace, doing something that I love doing, and talking to a lot of people that have some people have more knowledge than I do. Like, but and it's just a great space to be in, man. And like I said, I've been an avid listener of Sleepers. Like, Dion, he switches teams like people, I don't know, switch underwear. I think last year he was like an Arizona fan. This year he wanted to be an Indiana fan. Like, I listen, Dion just bouncing all over the place, like, or whatever. Greg and Carter, like I said, it's just different. But much love and respect to all of and Brian. Much love and respect to all of them guys over there, man. Like, for sure, they do an incredible job. So Yeah, it's a friendly debate, friendly back and forth. That's all I'm waiting on. That's all I'm waiting on. And we get Riley on there. Riley, I don't know, Riley, though. You might have to sit it out, though. Like, once we get on there, you might have to kind of be the mediator, maybe in the middle or something.
Yeah. I can do that. I can mediate well. I'm pretty good at not taking sides.
Thank you, Riley. We appreciate it. Thank you. We truly appreciate it. So, all right, well, that's cool. That's cool. So, listen, fellas, let me ask y'all. So, what are some predictions that you all are looking forward to this year? And it doesn't just have to be about UNC. It could just be in college basketball as a whole. Like, with any of these teams out here. Yeah, like how do y'all feel? What do you see from some teams? Who's some strong teams, who's some weak teams, who hasn't delivered the way that you may want them to. Like,
I got one for yeah, I got you. I got one for the sport at large. I think I feel fairly confident an SEC team is going to win the national championship.
Ooh, which
in
one?
Basketball. I probably Auburn feels like the cop-out pick, or Auburn feels like the obvious pick, but also a cop-out. Sometimes the best team just wins it, though. But I still think their guard play is a little bit erratic to where maybe they fall short in a big moment. I kind of like Rick Barnes and Tennessee getting over the hump. Like, this Tennessee team is ridiculously good. Yeah, I think they don't have like the same. When I think about Auburn, I think what makes them so good is like the physicality of the front court. They all sort of feed off of Broome, who's just a monster on both ends of the court. Broome, to me, is someone who has improved in pretty much every facet of the game since last year. Like, he's better at handling. He's better at posting up. Mm-hmm. Just as good, if not, I think he's blocking more shots than he was last year, making more threes. But it's just some of the unsteadiness of like we're ACC guys. We've watched Miles Kelly the last 3 years. There are games where Miles Kelly lit Carolina up. There are games where it always seemed to happen against Carolina. But there are also games where Miles Kelly went like 1 for 10, 2 for 14 from the field. And I think he has better players around him at Auburn to where it's not happening as much, but he still might be prone to doing that like in a Final Four type setting. I know Big Game Hod might show up. Big Game Hod is also a freshman. Like, he could shrink as well. And like, that's why I want to look to Tennessee. Front court's not as good. They're not as physical, but I still really like the way Milicic plays. Like, he's just he's has a power conference build. He started out at Virginia, so maybe that checks out. But great glue guy to do enough. Cade Phillips, surprisingly, has been really solid for them as well. Just in terms of big men. But I think Chaz Lanier is the best guard in the SEC, probably. Like, maybe that sounds a little insane considering Mark Sears exists, but the way Sears has played this year, like, I just think Lanier's been on another level. Yeah, like, the stats are better, the efficiency's better. He's big. He's like a legit 6'5". I think he can help Tennessee get over the hump.
Yeah.
B, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna switch it up here. I'll give one on the Carolina front. I know that I think Riley mentioned a 13-7 conference play. I'm going to say around 14-6, and I know that with the 7-5 start that we've had, a lot of Carolina fans are pessimistic about our chances against Duke. I'm going to say that we split. I'm going to go with a split. And the reasoning for that, I'm looking at Duke's season anyway, and watching how they've struggled to score the ball. They do have imposing size everywhere. I think their shortest player is about 6'5". But I have just I want to say a gut feeling, but also looking at some analytics, and I'll say along the lines of bold predictions, I think that we just run them out of the court. I'm thinking there's going to be one game that we have this season that's similar to that 2023 Tennessee game. And I feel like it's going to be at Duke. You start looking at the schedule, every single game that we've had this year, like the high profile games we've lost, other than UCLA, of course. But I'm thinking Duke is the one game that's left, the 2 games left on the calendar that we have circled. And I think that we go into, I'm going to say we're going to go into Cameron and beat them. And unfortunately in the Dean Dome, bold prediction, I'm sticking with that bold prediction, but we split, win at Cameron, lose at home. And I'm going to say another one, just keeping this topic at hand. Ian Jackson starts come 2025. And again, predictions only. And from the point in time he becomes a starter until the end of the season, he's going to be a 15-point per game scorer. That's what I'm going with.
Boy, there's a lot to unpack here, fellas. Like it really is. Like I'm sitting here listening to the both of y'all. So Riley, I got one question for you, and then B, I'm gonna come to you.
Yep.
Who wins National Player of the Year?
I still think Broome has that locked down, unless Auburn just craters an SEC play. Even if they do, like, okay, I just pulled up Auburn's schedule. They play Monmouth on December 30th.
Okay.
Monmouth is like 1-10 right now. Ooh, that's gonna be ugly. That truly might be like a 60-point win, 70-point win. Then they home for Missouri, easy dub. Then their first two road games in the SEC are at Texas, at South Carolina. Then they get Mississippi State at home, at Georgia. Like that's 5 SEC games where maybe they trip up in one of those road games, but I think they got a great shot to start 5-0. So you're telling me then they play Tennessee at the end of January at home too. So let's say they start out 5-0 in SEC play. That would have them sitting at 17-1 on the season. They would have to have like a 4-game skid in there somewhere for the record to be poor enough that you could justify giving it to someone other than Broome. Because he rolls out of bed with like 20-10 and tacks on 3 assists with that. I just think the stats are going to be too good. The team's record is going to be too good. They probably won't lose at home to where like maybe if the Duke media machine jumps in and Duke rolls through the ACC and Cooper Flagg is averaging like 16, 9, and 5 or something, they give it to him. But I can't see anyone unseating Broome right now.
So the only reason why I asked you that is because, and big shout out to Monmouth, man. Let me make sure that I throw that out there because I think Riley forgot that King Rice and Brian Reese are over there, friends of the show. Like, so they may see this show, Riley. Like, you in hot water now,
King.
buddy. Like,
I apologize, King.
For sure, but nah. I'll say this. I think that it's tough. If Janai Broome gets Player of the Year, Auburn doesn't win a championship. That's just how it's been lately. That's just the way it goes. Like everybody knows that's how it goes. So I mean, that's when you start thinking like, okay, I want this player to get the National Player of the Year so that their team doesn't win the national championship. So if you want to give Cooper Flagg the National Player of the Year, then fine, go ahead and give it to him. But that means Duke ain't winning no national championship, which I'm fine with. I'll take that. Give me that all day long. And so, but that's just the way that goes. I don't know if that's I can't see nobody right now playing better than Janai Broome, honestly. I mean, the guy is off the chain right now. And I who's playing better than him in the league? Well, in college, period. Besides maybe Dylan Harper, which is tough. Who's another player that's up there?
I think Harper's probably been the best freshman when you just look at like what he means to that team. But I think looking at Rutgers' record I think he'll probably make an All-American team. But to put him first team or National Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year combo, I think your team needs to be better. And that's not his fault. I mean, it's a weirdly constructed roster, and Rutgers always struggles to score the ball. But yeah, Harper versus Flagg will probably be a debate for in NBA draft circles this summer.
Yeah, as far as number 1 pick, for sure. But I give it to Harper for sure. I give it to Harper over Flagg. But and before I get to the whole Flagg thing, I will say this: Tennessee has really surprised me this year. I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, was not expecting them to be a number 1 team, number 1 right now. Like, they've really surprised me. So I got to keep an eye on them. That ACC is going to be, I mean, SEC is crazy. I mean, like, they're going to beat up on each other throughout this whole season. Like, you got at least, they're going to beat up on each other, man. That's so much fun to watch that conference this year, as far as them playing against each other or whatever. More so than, of course, the ACC or the Big 12 or whatever the case may be. Like, I'm excited to see what the SEC is gonna give to the people, I guess you could say, because a lot of good teams over there, a lot of good teams. Speaking of Duke, B. Walt, like, well, I'll say this first. You really believe that Ian Jackson is going to start? There's so many people that are back and forth about that. Like, there's some people that is like, I mean, I don't know if you all saw Theo Pinson, him and Justin Jackson and them talking about this. They mentioned the whole fact of, no, I wouldn't start him. He's not worried about being a starter. He just wants to play basketball. He's better coming off the bench, but then when I have talks with a lot of the alumni players, he's the best player on the team. He needs to be starting. Carolina probably should go for the 4-guard lineup. So it's a lot of back and forth that I'm hearing. And right now, I'm to be honest with you, I don't know where Ian Jackson fits. If he's better coming off the bench or if he's better off as a starter. Like, right now, I'm torn between the two. I just don't know.
Yeah, I think it's well, first off, talking about former players, I think that it's building up Ian's character and saying, he's a team player. Of course, he doesn't mind coming off the bench. I think those are very typical phrases that anyone would say of that supporting Carolina's team. So not to detract from what Theo or other players have said, but I think that's a cliche, and it definitely goes to his character too. He's a team guy. But secondly, I think from Carolina's standpoint, our biggest challenge this year has essentially been our starts. And at this point, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Like we mentioned in our last pod, our starts have been our downfall. And I'm thinking along the lines of recent games, I think Seth is the person who I believe will be taken out of that starting lineup personally at some point. And let me add the caveat that starting isn't everything. It's a position and it holds a lot of weight to a lot of people, but end of the day, the most minutes, that's where the games are won at. So I think if nothing changes, nothing will change. And just how the starting lineup is comprised right now, if it stays the same, Van Allen, Lubin, and Drake Powell will be the front court. And it's not the most aggressive front court, but it's solid. It's okay. But our offense has struggled. Elliott still, I think I've seen him take 2 jump shots outside of a 3. Let me say he's taken a number of threes this year, 2 jump shots, and then the rest of his offensive opportunities have been at the paint or a free throw. RJ's struggling all year, 24 for nearly 100 from 3. And then Seth started out the year on a very, very, very high note. And probably over his last 3-4 games, like the shooting numbers have regressed. And I'm thinking, what can be done? Insert Ian Jackson at this point, who has maybe over his last 7-8 games he's been showing people why he has been a top 10 ranked high school player these past 4 years. So Ian inserted for Seth, hopefully to offset some of those, scoring deficiencies that we have early in the first half. It's a little bit more size. You're giving up defense. So essentially it offsets, but it gives RJ some room not to relax, but it gives him some help. Ian is probably the best guy, one-on-one sort of guy, best grenade sort of player that we've got. He can get a bucket. That's literally what he is. And our offense is also tailored to a lot of one-on-one type of play. Like I was talking about our offense a lot earlier today. And essentially we have a one-on-one style offense. I've been critiquing it for a while. I'm not the biggest fan of what I've seen. A lot of high ball screens, a lot of double screen action for RJ and Ian curling off the wings. But outside of that, when those plays break down, we look at RJ, we look at Ian, we look at Elliott to attack. And when Ian's not out there, it shrinks down to 2 people. So I think Ian comes into that starting lineup. It's a new year, fresh change, and perhaps a needed change. And he just comes in and helps aid the scoring output. So I'm going with Ian there, and I don't think that the production drops off entirely. I couldn't give you a number figure, but I would hope to see him around 25 minutes getting 13 to 13, 14-ish shots per game at minimum. I think we're just going to need his offense a lot more as conference play goes on. And unfortunately, since we're 7-5 right now, we're going to enter conference play on like a note where we can't afford to lose games to the ACC. The ACC sucks this year, and I'm just thinking we're just going to have to get ahead of things, and Ian's going to he's going to aid that push. So, yep.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this: your starting five right now, who would you go with?
Oh man, it's funny because like I definitely have beat the drum before that who starts matters and you just need to start your best players. I feel like if that was the criteria, it would be RJ at the 1, Seth at the 2, Ian at the 3, Drake at the 4, Vin Allen at the 5 with Cadeau off the bench. At the same time, I don't think you want to murder Cadeau's confidence by taking him out of the starting lineup just because he still had some moments. I know he's really been struggling since the Hawaii game. It's like as soon as the Maui Invitational started, his turnovers have been insane. I mean, like he had 5 turnovers against UCLA. How many games have we played since Maui? I would guess he's had 5 turnovers or more in like 3 games already this year. But I just don't think you don't want to pull the plug on Elliott in the starting lineup. But I still believe in Seth Trimble. I also got a Seth Trimble shirt for Christmas, and selfishly I want it to still. I want to represent a starter. It's the graphic tee that's like the 90s the 90s-ish look. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's a 6 shirt. And I knew what I asked my mom for it, and I knew there was a very good chance that like this UNC team just might not be that fun to support by the end of this year, but I'm getting it anyway. So like I would still roll with Seth. The cop-out answer for me, which like I honestly think the minute distribution against UCLA was kind of the blueprint forward. Cadeau played 28 minutes that game. RJ played 36. Seth played 31. Drake played 24. Ian played 32. He played the whole second half without sitting. Cade Tyson played 7. I think if that's like those are who are getting your minutes 1 through 4. Withers got 5 minutes. Like if that's what you're rocking with 1 through 4, I have no qualms with that. Then the 5 is gonna. We don't know where we're gonna get night in night out of the 5. I'll put it in the nice way like that, where you just throw minutes at a wall and see what sticks. But I love that distribution for your 1 through 4. Maybe you take a couple from Ian if he's not on one game and give it to Seth, or take some from RJ, give it to Seth, or I don't know, maybe even like see if you can fit in a few more for Cade Tyson if you can get him going. Yeah. To what Brandon was saying, as far as like having Ian out there gives you another ball handler who can attack, who can create his own shot, who can get downhill. I do think it's like, I don't know if y'all felt this. Think way back to the Memphis game. The starting lineup for that tilt was RJ was out. It was Elliott, Seth, and then Cade at the 3, Withers at the 4, Washington at the 5. I'm so glad we abandoned that with like you literally had your 3 through 5. Like no one out of that trio could even really dribble or create. So I will say, give the staff credit for, realizing that didn't work and like leaning smaller sooner rather than later, even if you're giving up size. But yeah, I just think you can't with some of the ways with some of this team's like intrinsic holes, you got to maximize it by playing those 3 ball handlers or 3 dudes who are going to attack, 3 dudes who are going to be aggressive at all times.
What about
B-Wall, who do you think should be the starting 5? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Elliott can't be taken out of the starting lineup for morale reasons. I'm not willing to risk the idea of killing his confidence. Who knows what that could lead to? And I'm not. Let me piggyback off of what you're saying, Riley. I do think that our best 5 also does include Elliott being on the bench. I would say RJ, Trimble, Ian, Drake. Insert whatever 5 you want personally. But I think that I would say Seth comes out of the starting lineup because essentially you can't take Elliott or RJ out for their own reasons. That's why I'm inserting Ian there. So Elliott, RJ, Ian. I'm still putting in Drake and I'm going to keep it with Van Allen Lubin. I do think that Jalen Washington has the highest ceiling at the 5, but of course, ceiling has to meet production at some point. And he hasn't shown it just yet. Hopeful that he can turn that corner. And I'm also listening to the minute distribution for UCLA. I'm glad that you pointed that out. The Withers situation, a wild card, always a wild card. But I'm in favor of playing Cade more, some of the 4. I'm not too sure what that minute distribution would look like, but I would like to see him play like 8 to 10, 12-ish minutes. And when he's out there getting 5-ish shots up. But I think that if you can man that 4 between Drake playing however many minutes he does, Cade getting some minutes there, and then the rest of those kind of splitting them between Withers at the 4 and then going completely small ball, 4 guards out there. What I'm saying is minimizing Withers' minutes, because I can't get over, and I think you were the one who shared the stat with me, Riley, when he transferred in 146 turnovers, 71 assists. That's outrageous, and his play at Carolina has exemplified that. So I am, I don't want to say I'm off of that board, but it's been 5 years of him being in college, and he has not figured out that he's not a playmaker. Like we can't afford for him to handle the ball being a playmaker. He simply put needs to be athletic, be an athlete, rebound, offensive boards, those second chance points. And I don't know if he's hit a 3 since the Kansas game. Don't fact check me there. I'm not sure, but I can't recall any. So I'm in favor of giving Cade some of those minutes. But to answer the question, I'm going Elliott, RJ, Ian, Drake, and Van Allen Lubin for now. But I think Jalen has the highest potential there.
Oh man, once again, y'all leave so much to unpack, man. Good gracious. Like, I'll say this. My first question is, if you take Elliott out of the starting 5, do you think that could actually motivate him, or you think it would actually kill his confidence?
Maybe it would. I feel like the Elliott's such an interesting fit because like, he still can't really shoot. So teams can, maybe that was too blunt. He still struggles shooting the 3-point shot.
I tried to hold that in, man. I really tried to hold that in, but Riley was just like, he still can't shoot. Like,
I know he's worked at it. Like, I like the player that Elliott Cadeau is. Let me say that. But it's just the reality right now. He's only made 9 threes on the year. It leads to more attention on RJ. And his biggest strength is getting into the paint, throwing up lobs. And like our bigs just aren't lob threats. And so a lot of times what this offense, I'm not going to say it always looks pretty, but like sometimes the most effective is like, all right, RJ, go beat your man one-on-one, or like throw Ian in there and yell, do him, like play a little AAU ball, do him, and get a bucket. And that's what's worked. And I don't know, man. Like that's where, like, if I'm not a coach, I'm not an X's and O guru, but that's where I wonder, what sort of, to borrow a quote from Hubert, what sort of pivots, alters, and tweaks can they make to better like tailor the offense for Elliott, or to get him a little more comfortable, just because, maybe it's you just get film on a guy, or he starts getting scouted harder, or he's higher up on the scouting report, to where like we've seen what he can do. When you go back to that Memphis exhibition, when he was unreal, and even the start to the year, like he looked like the best player on the team. With I just had so much confidence. Like even that I always go back to the game in Allen Fieldhouse. He was 3 for 10 from the court, but it didn't matter because he was running the offense. He was getting into the paint. He was getting to the free throw line and getting everybody else involved. And it looked really good while doing it. But it just seems like teams are throwing counters at him. And yeah, the staff's got to find a way to mitigate that. And yeah, I think that's a valid point, Linzel, is like, if he does move to the bench, does that motivate him? Like, how does he respond to adversity like that?
Yeah, and to add on to it, obviously not a psychologist and don't know him personally, so I'm just going off of observation. One of my biggest things have been when critiquing Elliott anyway, looking at how he reacts to things. There's a fine line between, the compassion you've got to have for the game, and then sometimes it looks like he's throwing tantrums. And essentially, like, where I'm going with that is, you kind of combine the two, and it's not very typical to see some of the outbursts that he'll have after, making a bad play essentially, or when last year's freshman year getting fouled out in some games, you would see him literally looking like he's ripping his hair out, and one can deduce that it's coming from him not being satisfied with his play. He's also a 5-star kid, started with all throughout AAU and at Link Academy as well. He's used to having the ball in his hands. He's not used to sitting the bench. Like I know for sure that freshman experience was new for him. It was a learning experience, and he has been, I don't know if he's been quoted on air, but I know that it was new to him, unexpected as well. So that may even add to the equation of, he came here as a freshman, not starting. He earned that role, and to get it taken away from him after a year in, I just don't know if that's the thing to do. You add up all those factors, and you're like, let me figure it out with him, because I don't want to run the risk of what it looks like sitting him down and how that could swing. We can just leave it at that. But I think you got to roll with him at the starter.
Okay, so I'll say this. I think that in the beginning before the season started, the expectations for, I think, a lot of the players on the team were just extremely high. I think that we all expected Ian to start. I think we all expected Cade Tyson to start. I think we all expected Jalen Washington to take his game to the next level from what we was hearing in press conferences and interviews and things like that. What has happened is, and we all know that every year Seth takes another level. It takes himself to another notch, like another level. Every year Seth improves. This year was just out of this world. We didn't expect it. So Seth took Ian's spot, if you ask me. Some players to me are just better coming off the bench than starting. That's just me. I've always felt that way. I think Seth is a better player when he comes off of the bench, like more so than starting. I think Jalen Washington is a better player coming off the bench more so than starting. And the proof has been there, especially for Jay Wash. I mean, being behind Armando, and when he comes off the bench, he's got the face-up jumper. He's shooting better from the three. I mean, he's blocking more. He's rebounding more. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Like the numbers and things don't lie about that. And I mean, we see it. We've seen it. I've seen it. I know. So I think he's better coming off the bench. I think Seth is probably better coming off the bench, because here lately, a lot of people have said that, Seth Trimble has emerged. He's taken things to the next level. Yes, that is true. But when you look at it from the last few games, I guess you could say, Seth hasn't been shooting well. The percentages dropped. And I know, because I went back and I looked at the UCLA game, and every time I looked up, Seth was missing the shot. I know he missed about 4 or 5, in a row. So, and don't get me wrong, I love Seth. I don't want the moms coming after me or anything like that. This is just observation. But should Ian start? Yeah, I think he should. Now, if you want to do a starting 5, I think Elliott coming off the bench would be helpful, but at the same time, I'm not mad at it if you leave him in the starting lineup. Mm-hmm. If you don't put him in the starting lineup, then you should have RJ, Ian, Drake at the 3. I think you put Cade at 4. Cade has to, in order for Carolina to reach their ceiling this year, Cade is the X factor. Period. Because if you go back and listen to what Todd Golden said from the coach from Florida. He basically said that, listen, our main two focuses was RJ Davis and Cade Tyson. He said that for a reason, even though Cade hasn't been playing well, but he said that for a reason. Cade is that other bucket getter. But in order for him to get to that point, he has to get more minutes, period. I don't. I've been trying to explain this to, for old players and things like that, but some people just don't. They don't seem to like that idea, I guess you could say. And
I think as far as your
five spot, go ahead, Riley.
I was gonna say it's probably more so indicative of why Todd Golden hasn't gotten over the hump. He's never won an NCAA tournament game because he's busy scouting Cade Tyson instead of Seth Trimble and Ian Jackson. Like, what are we doing, Todd?
But at the same time, but Riley, come on, like let's be honest. Cade has to. If Cade improves in his game, Carolina's the team itself goes to another level because now he spreads the floor.
If he can just knock down pick and pop threes, he doesn't have to do any of the crazy stuff Manic did where you're like running him off of like floppy action or having him take a bunch of movement threes, which he did a good bit of at Belmont. I just think his like release might be too slow at this level. But if you're just using him in spot up situations, pick and pop threes, and he can knock down like 36, 37% of them, that would help out so much. Because this team is shooting like, I think Carolina's only shooting 31% as a team right now. So yeah, I definitely see your point on that, Linzel. I just had to, I've got to get a couple of my jokes off. But
I know.
I know. Carolina's shooting 31.6% from three right now, to where if you don't need Cade, like, I don't know if UNC really needs Cade to play more than like 17 minutes a game. If he's making 38% of his threes, something that's fair. A role like that would be huge for UNC.
That's fair.
So yeah, I'm with you on that. I think he definitely has some extra potential.
Yeah, like he once again, he's going to spread the floor. Think about it like this. Last year, Elliott and RJ, they could drive to the paint. They could drive to the basket, right? But the reason why they were able to do that was because Armando Bacot deserved so much attention. Double teams, things like that, right? So if Mondo comes out a little bit and comes out of the paint, that leaves it open for Elliott and RJ to drive. They don't have that this year. They don't have no front court presence like that, right? Nobody is paying attention or slacking off on everybody in the front court because the front court, as people would say, is just not that good. I don't believe that. I do think that there are certain players that can play that five position. I like Lubin at 4. I like Lubin at 5. However, I also like Claude. He's not who he is for nothing. Like, you have to use him and play him. Like, that's what you got him for. Like, top 10, number 1 in the ACC, top 10 in the nation. He's not there for no reason. He has to be put in there. I like James Brown. He's coming along very well. Like, he's producing more than Jay Wash. Let's just be honest. So you got to have some players to come off of the bench. You have to have some scoring coming off the bench as well. Like, yes, put your best players in as your starting 5. But however, when those players go out to get rest, who do you have coming in to maybe to give you some points? Seth can come in, give you some points. Jay Wash can come in, give you some face-up shots and, all of that other stuff that he gives you. Jay Withers, of course, probably plays better coming off the bench. Like, let's just call it what it is. Like, that's me just calling it what it is. And we got to figure something out. it has to be figured out, and it has to be figured out very, very fast because ACC play is here. Like y'all said, 13, 14 games. That's a lot of games in the ACC to try and win. I mean, yes, you can win them, but at the same time, there's some tough competition also in the ACC that you definitely need to win, for sure.
Yeah. For just for the record, I fired up some James Brown 2023 Peach Jam highlights right now just to feel something.
Hey, feel good?
I mean, hey, I just watched him guard a pick and roll, like guard a ball screen and come up with a block and a rebound and make the hit ahead pass better than I've seen any 5-man on UNC's roster do this year. Oh man, his jump shot, he's got a weird looking jump shot though.
And honestly, I think he's got a lot of agility to him, more so than any of the fives that we have. And for some of our defensive schemes, as much as we like to switch, I mean, I feel most comfortable with him stepping out on any guard as opposed to Jay Wash, Leuven, or Claude personally.
Man,
thank
like
you.
Zell, I wanted to touch on your point. You mentioned last year, Elliott and RJ just being able to penetrate a little bit because of essentially the attention that Armando commanded, and trying to tie that into this season. We would need like Adrian Atkinson to come up on this pod to break this down further, but I'm not too sure how many plays that we've ran specifically for Jalen Washington that aren't, a slip and roll type of play. Like I know he hasn't made a 3 in the regular season. I can't recall that money like midi shot that he's got. I haven't seen it often, maybe a couple of times this year, but perhaps not too sure. But also just sort of in order for our bigs to get going, we've got to run some sets for them. They're not Armando, but they do have qualities to them that would enable them to see the court, would enable them to be productive on the offensive end. And I think that if they were seen or perceived by the other team as a threat, then perhaps those lanes start to open up a little bit more. But that's where I'm going with a little bit like what I said earlier about some of our offensive scheme just not being incredibly up to par, in my opinion, for the sort of basketball and the brand that Carolina has. Like I've called it an elementary style offense right now, and it's a critique, but I think it's warranted because our offensive motion isn't much. It's essentially one option, and if that breaks down, it's RJ, Ian, come and bail us out, and that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it as the year goes on. It's not going to cut an ACC play either. We do have more talent than other teams, but we have severe size deficiencies, and that physicality and the sheer size of other teams can sort of cover that talent like gap. So I'm thinking if we can somehow diversify the offense a little bit more, get Jalen Washington involved in the mid-range to perhaps stretching it out to 3. I've seen us, post up Van Allen Leuven a little bit. He's starting to come a couple possessions per game. Just getting them some looks that open up the offense for everyone, and it won't replicate what Armando did, but it's a start. It helps. And I think lastly, just to touch up on what you mentioned about like us sort of running out of time or just seeing like we've got to make some changes with this roster that we have. And I think I've said it before. I wasn't ever fully on board with the top 10 preseason ranking. I was more top 25-ish ranking sort of team. I think you could look at sort of how the coaching staff approached the offseason. We recruited every big in the country. Like Riley and I, we probably texted every single day about the portal and just new names, and we were excited about this guy and then the next guy. What does this look like, right? But what does that tell you? It tells you that the staff wasn't super confident having Jalen Washington and Jalen Withers. Essentially, we just didn't get the guys that we wanted as option A, and option B or C, D, like whatever. We weren't super confident with those players. And my critique there would have been that we should have gone after more true complementary players, more so than, shooting for the home run hits with like Cliff, or I know it was a very brief stretch with like Ballo, but guys like that, perhaps more of like the Amari Williams as the Danny Wolfs, when they were out there as an options, true complementary pieces, in my opinion, should have been our focus. That's just a little side tangent, but Yeah, wasn't ever fully with that top 25-ish ranking, and we have a team where because of the size, the shooting has to come around. Like that's a necessity, or it's going to be a very, very long season. But I think we're kind of at a point where there's only so many combinations that we can try, and unfortunately, all of those combinations include the front court. In the front court, I can't put together a 4 and 5 combination that's going to be like, hey, you guys run out there and like go work the other team. It's not going to happen. So we just got to mitigate like what we can play to our strengths entirely, and we're going to have to mitigate those L's that we're going to take, I think. And it helps by getting everybody involved, strengthening, like, playing to some players' strengths, which enable Elliot, RJ, Ian to get in the paint, be athletes, finish, get fouls. And the other team has to account for everyone rather than just the guards.
Yeah. I've heard things to where some people have told me like, yo, RJ needs to come off the bench. These are things, these are conversations that I'm having, and I'm if only y'all knew the conversations that I had behind the scenes with a lot of folks. Like these conversations get crazy. I never thought that I would hear RJ Davis to be coming off the bench, which is crazy. It just blew my mind when I heard that. Jalen Washington can't play the 4. Like Van Allen Lubin has a really good post game. I like his post. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like it looks decent. Decent.
I said at the beginning of the year, like I thought Van Allen was a weird fit because he kind of needs the ball to be effective, because like to play out of the mid post or play in the low post, either or, take your pick, or occasionally take some slower footed bigs off the dribble. But going into the year, I was like, man, this Carolina offense, like with the playmakers you have on this team, you're not just going to say like clear out for Van Allen. Like that's not the kind of look you're going to get. But as I've watched the offense struggle, I'm like, why not try it at this point? Clear out for Van Allen. Like give Van Allen a couple post touches a game. Like we've seen this team go through bad scoring stretches, and it's clearly a lot of like the primary options. It hasn't worked out how they expected it to look, how even I expected it to look. So yeah, I'm with you, Linzel. Why not try it? Like let Van Allen post up a little bit.
Like I said, he has a really good post game.
And he can go fast too.
Yeah, James Brown has, number one, has good hands, and like B Wall said, his agility. Like he's showed just like Ty Claude has showed why they should be getting more minutes. And less minutes probably for Jay Wash. Jay Wash hasn't given us anything this season. And I love Jay Wash, but he hasn't given us anything that we expected before the season started. He hasn't given us not one thing. Last year, he had shot very well from the 3. Had a very good face-up shot, I guess you could say, jump shot. He gave us all of that. Some players are just better coming off the bench. That's just no matter how you want to slice that pie. Like, now as far as just to go to the people that we may have missed in the portal last season or whatever. And one thing I got to give Riley credit for sure is the fact that, listen, thank God we missed on a lot of them guys, because they are not doing anything this season. Anything. Like, name one player that we missed on that has really showed us a lot this season.
I think it's very particular to the teams that they're on. Like, if I were to look at the year that Clifford is having over at Alabama, I would say he's averaging 16, 17 minutes a game, and he's not playing particularly well. But if I were to think about what he looks like on this Carolina roster, essentially just having a big that can clog the paint, be a defensive menace, get boards. Like, we're looking at 7 and 5, and we're probably like maybe 10-2 right now. I think with a defensive presence like that, and then a guy like Danny Wolf. I haven't watched all of his games at Michigan this year, but I've seen a few of them, and I'm thinking the offensive versatility that he has. He's more of a, I would say more of a stretch big, more so than a traditional like low post presence, but at 7 foot 250 or whatever he weighs, with the offensive bag that he has, that's a lot of skill set and a 7 foot body. And essentially, with the committee of bigs that we have right now, no one's ready to grab the reins. Danny Wolf would have it here. And you keep going down the list. I think once you start broaching Onyenso, you're like, I don't know, but he's not having any sort of year at Kansas State. But you could make a slight argument that, a presence like his, a defensive presence like his, would be helpful to a team that isn't relying on their bigs to score anyway. So, yeah, like I'm looking at their years. It's not great, but I think you can make a case that any one of them, given the personnel that we have, would be fit for us right now. Some limited capacity, but I think they could help some of them anyway.
I think if we had added, like, I was going to say just Cliff on his own, like there's a reason why. Well, I think Cliff is great shot blocker, great lob threat, but there's a reason why he's never averaged more than 10 points per game. He's not really like a throw him the ball and let him cook.
Right.
And I think in the offseason, it felt like, he would have been the missing piece because we expected Cade Tyson to be close to a double-digit score, or maybe Drake Powell's offense to be a little further along. And I don't slander Drake Powell. I love Drake Powell. You go at your own pace, Drake. You're going to be in the I love Drake Powell. I'm never going to say a bad thing about that kid. But yeah, I think at the time it was like, oh, Cliff will be perfect because, we expected more out of Elliott and we expected more out of Cade. And it seemed like all that was needed was like a play finisher. Whereas I think if Cliff was on this team, I wouldn't go. I don't know if I go 10-2 like B-Wall said. I think we probably have maybe 9-4. What are we now? Or 8-4? What would that be? 9-3, 9-3, 8-4, something like that. Just because I still think like his lack of offensive game can make it a little bit clunky. I'm still a fan of Jonas Adu and what he could do. I think he had a little bit of untapped upside on offense. Yeah. But to me, the best combination, like, I would have thought this was insane at the time, would have been to just grab Danny Wolf and play him at the 4 and then go for a Cliff Amourier or even Onyenso type big to protect the paint and to have Wolf out there stretching the floor and being able to create off the bounce. However, I do, even like with Wolf, and like, don't get me wrong, I would take him at Carolina in a heartbeat. I would drive to Ann Arbor right now and like not leaving until I have Danny Wolf. I would hit him with the boss man D'Lo. You want to boss up your life? All you got to do is get him with me, and we're going back to Chapel Hill.
Come on, Riley.
I thought you would have hit him with the, hey, you see what we did with the Duke player? You see what the Duke players did over there? And like you could do that over here with our brand. Like I thought that's what you was gonna hit him with. Okay, my bad.
But with Wolf, like Wolf's best trait, I think, is his handle and his passing, and to put him on a UNC team with like Elliott, RJ, and Ian, who all need the ball, we probably don't see the best version of Danny Wolf. That being said, I would rather have him and figure it out than to like just watch him like go. But watching that dude like go between the legs and then make a live dribble pass at 7 foot is insane. And
offhand.
Yeah. I would love to see that at UNC, even if it wasn't to the same like usage that he has at Michigan.
I still think Onyenso would have been the best fit. I just 7 foot. You don't need it. He doesn't have to have an offensive game, but that's something he could develop. I think working with somebody like Sean May or whatever. Like this year, we just needed him for more so defense than anything. Like you can't never deny 7 foot in the paint. Like look at Malawaj from Duke right now. Like anything coming to the paint is getting swatted out of there. Like let's use Onyenso just for that. Like just on the defensive end. I think Lobs, of course, because I mean anybody can dunk a ball and all of that if it's lobbed to them. But I mean, as far as like offensive post presence, things like that, nah, he probably doesn't have that. But he would have been perfect for defense. Perfect for defense. Like Adu, Adu was very up and down to me at Tennessee. Ballo, just a big body, trash to me. Let's see. Bradshaw, trash. Danny Wolf, he's exceptional.
Bradshaw's been really good when he's been playing at Ohio State. He was awesome.
He's trash. He's trash.
I believe him. Hey, Bradshaw, dude, I've never seen. Well, I haven't seen a player of his caliber in a long time who is that skinny, though. I will say that. Like, that dude's frame is so
very narrow. Yeah.
How does it doesn't look like he's ever lifted weights? That's my only knock on him. He was so good against Kentucky. He just needs he needs Jonas. Jonas would have got him right though, because you see like James Brown is like chiseled right now. I'm a big fan of Bradshaw, but the frame does scare me a little bit. Anyway, continue.
Who else am I missing? I'm missing somebody.
You remember Maxime Reynaud? He was the big that probably was. You know, in hindsight, he may have been the most realistic. It was like very, very, very real until it wasn't. And looking at the type of year he has was like, whoa. Like, and then envisioning him, I thought we were just going to make Stanford like our minor league team for a little bit, you know, just take their players and, hey, like we'll make the most out of them. But it didn't happen. You know, at 7 foot, his skill set, the year he's having at Stanford, you could only like just think and dream about what that would look like at Carolina. Dude is all ACC players. It's weird saying Stanford in the ACC. I'll never get to terms with that personally. But Maxime Reynaud, like that was the guy. And whatever happened. But he stayed there, and he's going off this year.
Yeah,
nasty, dude.
That was that. We definitely had that pipeline. If Jarrett was still there, that would have been a pipeline. For sure.
Hey, I think Carolina fans everywhere should have been cheering for him to stay employed as long as he could.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know. I think the staff looked at Brandon Angel too, who transferred. He ended up at Oregon, but he was the Stanford kid.
Andre Stojakovic as well. Like,
Andre Stojakovic.
Everyone.
Man, there's
now like they got Blake from Duke.
Yeah, right. I'm just like, man, there's an alternate reality, I think, where Carolina ends up with Andre Stojakovic and Maxime Reynaud, and that giving us our 4th Stanford transfer in the last 2 years, including Cormac. And that team was actually probably really good with Stojakovic. But, you know, it is what it is. Can't do anything about it now.
All right, so let's move to another topic that's been a big topic in this Discord, y'all, because, I mean, we could be on here forever talking about a whole lot of stuff for sure. But one of the biggest topics in the Discord, I need to know and get you all's thoughts on this Hubert Davis slander that he's receiving. Now, let me be the first to say, I ain't gonna call no names. Matter of fact, I just let everybody just figure it out. I let everybody figure out who this person is. Nah, I ain't even gonna do that either, because that'd be the wrong thing to do. How do y'all feel about this Hubert Davis slander that's going on in this chat, in this Discord?
I mean, man, my thing is, no, you're good, man. I never would say I'm not in the business of calling for people's jobs. That's like I don't like doing that. I think I don't make that call. I don't think it helps anybody. So that's where I sort of draw the line. But I do think, I mean, he's definitely not above criticism. He's not above questioning. And I think when you look at, like, for me, my biggest skepticism or my biggest hesitancy with wondering if he's like built for this era or if he's going to last at UNC is just looking at having the season Carolina did last year where they got a 1 seed, swept Duke, won the ACC, had the ACC Player of the Year, first team All-American, had a dude drafted in Harrison Ingram as well, and it just seemed like they didn't build any momentum on it. It was like Ian Jackson committed in January of 2023. I guess the Cadeau reclass would have come that summer, but since then it's been crickets on the high school trail. And I mean, Hubert was really good at recruiting the portal up until this past offseason. It seemed like you can go back to his first year on the job where he got Dawson Garcia. No, that didn't work out, but it was like a very contested recruitment. The next year, Pete Nance, like I heard on separate occasions, was like Pete Nance was a done deal to Gonzaga, assuming that Drew Timme left. Timme came back. He didn't go there. I also heard that he was a done deal to Alabama shortly after that, and he very clearly was not because he ended up at Carolina. Like, you see these instances since he's been on the job where he won high-profile portal recruitments, but to me, it's a red flag. It's a cause for concern that after the year you had, that when you're a blue blood to not add anybody really of significance out of the portal and then kind of parlay that into a poor high school recruiting class, unless he pulls off a coup and lands Caleb Wilson, which would be awesome. I love Caleb Wilson, but yeah, because I think when he has the pieces, he's a pretty good coach, as we saw that last year. Like the 2023-24 team had no business being a top 10 defense, and he really had a good scheme in place. I mean, Armando was an anchor in the post who helped out so much, but yeah, like he's good when he has the pieces. My biggest skepticism is, can he get the right pieces going forward? Is he gonna like, who knows what, like, I feel like we all hear various information. It's tough to know what's true sometimes, where it's like NIL related, it's pitch related, it's a combination of all of it. I think it's deeper than just NIL. I think Carolina probably could use a little bit of shaping up in that realm, but it's not like they didn't have any money to spend. I think it's more comprehensive than that. And yeah, that's the biggest prove it thing right now. Can you rebound this upcoming offseason?
Yeah. Piggybacking off of Riley again, can't call for a person's job. Personal feelings about him aside, it's a respect thing. We're all Carolina fans at the end of the day, and I think whoever our head coach is, we're going to pull for him like we did Roy, and for the older generation how they did Dean. So always cheering for his success. But also fair to have criticisms. I kind of look at the talent evaluation. I've talked to Riley about this before, but essentially looking through the portal, I think we've had, and from my lens anyway, the portal, high school recruiting, the vetting process, the on the court production, all of that I'm taking into account for. So Brady, Harrison Ingram, Cormac Ryan, I consider them successes. Dawson Garcia would have been in that group, but unfortunately he had some other things and, there are family issues, but I think there were also some feelings there, personal feelings, and perhaps not ingratiating himself into the Carolina culture, not being used to that sort of way. And then I look at the high school ranks and I'm looking at Elliott, Drake, Ian, success. Seth has grown into that. And I think that Jalen Washington, I don't really know what to make of him, but the point I'm making is that I think that talent evaluation has been slightly a red flag for me, specifically with the bigs more so than anything. But going forward, how does he handle next portal season? Essentially, I know that he's going to go into this year, next offseason anyway, with a big in mind. Shoot, we might sign 3 7-footers at this rate, right? Like we may overcompensate. No, that's a joke, but like we will get a big. On the same end, we've definitely heard some talk about how this portal season treated him, like it was exhausting. And that's not just him. Like, you can look across the landscape. Older coaches, of course, are tapping out like right now. And I don't blame them. The current landscape of NIL, introducing revenue sharing into basketball. I think next December players will be able to transfer right at the end of the first semester. It's truly the wild, wild west, and there's no continuity within the sport. So I don't know how you, as a coach, can, come to terms with everything that's going on. So I feel for him there. And just touching on like how exhausted we've heard that he's felt, if he were to make whatever decision on his own, I hope that it's on his own accord. No, no administration coming to him saying, look, at this year you've had, and that would be very short-sighted, I think. But I think I'm cheering for him. I'm in his corner. We'll always be in his corner. And I think what a lot of people don't get to see is just sort of the effect that he does have on the players. Roy's last year, when he retired, I think a lot of that team was looking to transfer out, but a lot of them attributed Hubert as being the guy that kept them at Carolina. A lot of, former players, you can even think about JP Tokoto, someone who was thinking about leaving Carolina. It was rough on him. Hubert was like his best friend. Same with Armando after, I want to say his freshman year, I believe he's said before. Hubert is a player's coach. He's a great motivator. He's a great person, and that accounts for a lot as a head coach. You can't just have a whole bunch of, great coach Danny Hurley's, but that sort of personality isn't going to jive super well with an entire team, and you have to team build as well. So I'm just hoping he gets the right personnel around him. I hope that he can sign the right personnel in terms of players, of course, but yeah, the slander about his name, I think, is coming from essentially just a place of hurt. Like, we're all diehard fans. We're wishing that we weren't 7-5. And I too have critiqued the offense that he's run, and of course the talent evaluation. But it is one season. We struck out a lot. I don't think that happens again. We're playing the high money ball game now. We had enough money to go out there and sign a guy like AJ. And I think that's going to continue on with the 25, 26, 27 classes. So I would just say to all the fans, just hold on, give the man a chance, let him breathe. It's the holiday season now. Like, it's super needed for the players and coaches alike. Like, there's been turmoil for them, and just see what they can do. At the end of the season, if it's gone south, then, your feelings are validated. But right now it's a new roster. It's a discombobulated roster in the sense of, the talent disparities that we have between the guards and the bigs. So just stay put and, keep cheering them on.
Yeah. I look at it like this. It's kind of like they say, like, when you're in a relationship, and I'm sure that, or married, I'm sure that you guys have probably done this before, because I know I have in the past. But where they say, okay, get a piece of paper, write down all of the pros that you like about your mate, and write down all of the cons that you don't like, right? Which one outweighs the other? Which one do they have more of? Do they have more pros than cons, or do they have more cons than pros? In this situation, Hubert has more pros than cons. I mean, once again, numbers and statistics and things like that, they just don't lie, right? Going to the championship game, number 1 seed, ACC Coach of the Year, beating Duke twice, hasn't had a losing record in my eyes. I mean, in any of his seasons, any of his tenures since he's been coaching, he hasn't had a losing record to me. But I mean, there's just as far as recruiting and picking up in the portal and things like that, I think he's done pretty good in the portal. I can't say that he's done terrible in the portal or anything. Pete Nance just didn't work. Dawson Garcia, I'll say this, Pete Nance didn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
Dawson Garcia didn't work. But everybody else that he's picked up on, I mean, he's had some sort of success with them. Harrison Ingram, Cormac Ryan, and the list just keeps going, I guess, or whatever. But when you talk about recruitments, Ian Jackson, Elliott reclass, Drake Powell, I mean, a lot of the players that he was left with were Roy's players. So
yeah.
He hasn't really, like you said, he really hasn't had the time to really get into the whole recruiting stage, I guess you could say. Now, I think that's going to change in the future. Probably just hasn't changed yet, of course. But there's more pros than cons. So when you talking about, hey, Hubert needs to be fired, one thing that I've always learned, and it is true about what they say about UNC fans, you are wine and cheese people. Like they call us the wine and cheese crowd. We're used to that. Like we're the expectations that we have are huge. Like so we need to bring them down a little bit. Because I mean, and people have to have chances and opportunities to be able to do things. So I'm with you guys. I'm pro Hubert. I wish him nothing but the best. I do. There's some things that I do think he's gonna get figured out, but we just as fans need to relax a little bit and give the man a chance. Dean wasn't successful his first few years. Roy wasn't successful his first few years. Like, what makes people think that Hubert is going to be that way? Like, we got to hit the brakes a little bit, Yeah. So, listen, I don't know. All right, so real quick, because we're gonna wrap this up or whatever. Real quick. I just want you all's predictions on something. Who wins the national championship?
I'm going to Auburn. I was with Riley at the beginning. It's a cop-out answer, but the physicality, the size, they've been the most impressive team to me to this point, and I don't see it slowing down personally.
Okay.
I think I'll go ahead and give you my final four. Tennessee versus Gonzaga in the first semis. Tennessee advances. Duke versus Auburn in the other semis. We get a rematch of the game in Cameron. I think if they actually do rematch, Auburn will take it, but I kind of want to go for narrative's sake, and I say Duke wins a very physical battle, and they're too worn out by the time they play Tennessee. Maybe flag or Malawash cramps, since cramping seems to be just something that Duke freshmen can't get over. And Tennessee wins it all. Rick Barnes and the Vols cut down the nets. Wow. Chaz Lanier, MOP.
Wow.
Who you got, Zell?
This is tough, man. I don't think it's gonna be either one of them, but I'm just being honest. I'm gonna go with I think Mark Few gets over the hump this year.
All right.
I like that.
Listen, I'm not confident about that at all. I just picked somebody because it was somebody to pick. I don't think Baylor can get over the hump. I don't think Houston. I think Kansas is going to fall short. Of course, I'm not feeling Duke at all. Kentucky, just not tough enough. Arkansas has been very quiet this so far this year. I don't know if y'all have noticed that, but they haven't been on TV. You haven't been hearing from them. Interesting. That's very interesting that we haven't been hearing anything like that about Arkansas, as much as the whole John Calipari thing is nationally. Like, y'all know how that goes when it comes to him. So it's very interesting that they've been that quiet. Arizona just can't do it. There's just there's a lot of teams, man. There's a lot of teams. Florida, I ain't seeing them either. So
it's weird that a lot of teams who are good, it's really hard for me to picture Tennessee actually winning a national championship. Kind of same thing with Auburn, just because it's basketball. Iowa State, same boat, where it's like I close my eyes and I can't envision it. But some of the teams who you're thinking, or the coaches you're thinking of, is like just don't have it this year. Some of the higher profile teams and coaches. We might have just lost B-Wall.
Yeah, I think so. I think I heard the chime go off because I think his computer or something or whatever it is that he was on.
Yeah,
sounded like the battery might have went out.
Yeah.
Look,
he sent the text too.
He sent the text too that his laptop was dying and his charger is in his car. I knew that's what it was. But Okay, go ahead. Continue to yeah. So let me go with Mark Few. I think he gets over the hump, and then I think he retires.
I like that shout a lot. Zell. Take us home.
Right. All right. Real quick. Just can I add a couple more questions? Who wins the NBA playoffs championship this year?
Oh man,
it's 2025. So we got to go through each sport real quick. We ain't doing volleyball.
Okay, I got you.
And all of that, and cricket and all of that. We ain't doing all of that, right? Yeah, this is the main one.
Let me get this. I'm gonna go with the Bucks. The Bucks over the Thunder in 7. I'm buying the momentum. Giannis is back. Either that's kind of what my heart says. I think the Celtics repeat. Bucks is my bold prediction.
Ooh, okay. I think my Knicks go to the I think my Knicks go to the NBA Finals. I do. But I think
that'd be fun.
If they do what I think they're going to do, because I just heard about this earlier today. If they do what I think they're going to do, I got the Spurs winning it all.
What's the latest Spurs rumor?
So I've heard that they may be trying to get De'Aaron Fox.
Oh, that would be fun. I could see if they can get De'Aaron Fox making like a Western Conference final run. I feel like they probably still need a little time for it to mesh more before I say, yeah, they're going to win the NBA championship.
I mean, they got some really good. Stephon Castle is playing pretty good.
He's been awesome.
Wemby, of course, is doing his thing. I mean, Sohan, as much as I can't stand that clown, he's producing. You got Chris Paul, you got some leadership on the floor. You add De'Aaron Fox. I mean, yeah, they got some pieces, bro. They got some really, really, really good pieces. And I mean, just basing it and just looking at the way that they played the Knicks on Christmas Day. Like, Wemby came in, hit 43, something like that. Like, they played extremely well. So picking up De'Aaron Fox is a huge plus for them if that happens. But I'm gonna go with the Spurs. I say the Spurs or whatever. All right, NFL.
Lions. I think the Lions. Lions beat the Chiefs.
All right, how much Carter pay you, man?
He didn't pay me. I think their defense gets healthy, and I love the type of football that wins you games in the winter months. If you have, I mean, Goff has been unreal this year. He's done 33 touchdown passes, which I never would have thought I'd seen the day. I mean, and you have J-Mo, who's obviously the home run threat. You have Amon-Ra, who, I mean, he can pop off for like a 10, 11 catch game seemingly anytime he wants to. And then you got the two running backs who can just wear you down. If their defense is remotely healthy, I think they get it done. And I'll take them over the Chiefs. I'm not betting against Mahomes getting there, but I think they sort of run out of steam and the lack of weapons comes to roost when they get to the Super Bowl.
Okay. I'm going to go with Baltimore.
Okay.
I hate the Ravens, but listen, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. I mean, right now they're just so fun to watch, bro. Like, they really are fun to watch. And if I had to make a second pick, I'm not mad at picking the Steelers, even though I don't like them either. I'm a Giants fan, so I mean, yeah. So, but the Ravens are just so fun to watch right now. So
they
fun
are.
to watch, and I'm tired of the whole Chiefs era. I'm just ready for all of that to just be over with. Like, I'm past all of that. So, give me the Ravens. Give me the Ravens to win it all. All right, last one. Do we see a Subway Series this year in baseball?
Mets and Yankees?
Juan Soto, Aaron Judge.
I hope so. That'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'd like that early pick. I don't really lock into baseball until the World Series or the playoffs. I don't, but I do. Wait, do you cheer for the Yankees or the Mets?
I'm gonna listen, Riley. Don't do it now. Don't do that. Don't go there now. I'm a Yankees. I got to be a Yankees. Yeah. No Mets over here. Listen, I'm not a part of the Ets family. The Jets, the Nets, the Mets. I'm not a part of them. At all. At all.
I cheer for the Yankees as well. That's like people make fun of me just because I like I said, I don't really follow baseball till the playoffs. But my mom, her whole side of the family is from New York City, so I at least have a reason to do that, not just not straight up bandwagoning. So I hope the Yankees get back there, man. That was just an unceremonious way to go out in the World Series this past year, and it sucks to lose Soto too. Yeah.
That was horrible. I don't understand how you get beat like that by the Dodgers. I don't even want to talk about that. I mean, y'all got they got swept, if I ain't mistaken, right? Or did they win one?
They got a game on them. Yeah, I think it was game 4.
Oh, so yeah, but still, I don't understand it. Like, you should have been able to deal with the pitching. Like, the pitching was the factor to whether you win or lose. Like, and the Yankees just couldn't get it done. So I don't know, but I would love to see a Subway Series with Soto, and Judge, and then the whole storyline behind all of that and everything. Like, yeah, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. So, listen, Riley, I appreciate you, of course. Like I said, I just wanted to do something real different. This is like the 2025 kickoff podcast episode for the year. And I felt like it was perfect timing. Because everybody's been talking about this in the Discord or whatever. So I figured, you know what? Let's just give them this for the first episode so that they could be happy and get off our backs the way that we're on yours or whatever, to get over there with GNC. GNC. That's what I'm gonna start calling them, GNC. Yeah, that's the good name right there. But for sure. Man, listen, I definitely appreciate you and B-Wall for definitely stopping through. We chopping it up a little bit. Of course, we got to do this a lot more. It's gonna be a really good year in 2025. Of course, I wish you nothing but the best. I know you got a lot of stuff going on. You got some things happening this year, so of course I'm looking forward to that. And of course, with because Heat Check is coming back, right?
Oh yeah, we'll have some Heat Check content throughout the new year and everything. And of course, we really ramp up for the tournament. So hopefully my plan is to do a little more draft content for them this upcoming spring. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, man, I appreciate you initiating this. Always good to get on here and chop it up with you. And hopefully it's a fun listen for all the viewers out there. So thanks again.
Absolutely. For all of the viewers that I do have. But listen, this is 2025, and my motto is #FON, foot on necks, all 2025.
Foot on necks. I like that.
What it is. Foot on necks, all 2025. So I got a lot of things lined up or whatever. But yeah, man, like I said, I definitely appreciate you doing this, man. And I get with B, of course, got to appreciate him. So all of the descriptions and contact information for Riley. B-Wall don't have any, so just so y'all know, he's like distant. He's very distant. I don't understand it, but we gonna work on that. It's 2025. We gonna work on that. Like, we got to get something going on here. But yeah, Riley's description and everything will be in the description. well, Riley's information will be in the description. I got to make sure I get that right. Like,
You're
Jesus.
good, man.
First
I got
show
you.
of the year. Yeah, it's first show of the year.
For sure,
So,
for
but,
sure.
Yeah, but yeah, man. So listen, we'll talk soon. Yeah. Let's make some things happen, man, for sure. And
sounds good,
I
man.
get
I'll talk to
you.
you.
You know, you're always welcome back, my guy. Always welcome.
Appreciate
back.
you, man.
So,
Appreciate you.
yeah, and let Greg and Carter know that they're welcomed over here too.
I got you.
Like, I know, yeah. Like, listen, I got love for the guys, man. I do. I got a lot of love for the guys. I think that they do their thing, man. So, you know, they more than welcome to join and come on over. So 2025, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna finally. I got a feeling that I'm gonna finally meet GNC.
It sounds good, man. Let's make. We will make it happen. That's like I said at the start of the show. It'll happen before the end of 2025, but hopefully closer to the start than the end.
Yeah. Like let's try and get that done, but around between now and like February, Riley. Like let's not try and wait till December to make that happen, dog. Like you know what I'm saying?
I got you, man. I got you.
If it takes 12 months to get us to connected, yeah, we got to, we got to talk, Riley. We gonna have to talk, dog. Listen, man. Listen, we'll chop it up soon, though, man. And like keep doing your thing, bro. And I appreciate you again for sure.
Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. That's Riley Davis, everybody, for sure. That's my guy right there. So we gonna wrap this thing on up. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me give Riley the proper applause. Here, unprepared. Like you threw me off my rocker today. I can't even lie, dog. It's unexpected. It happened so fast. I got to get better with that. I got to get better, man.
Appreciate you, dude.
So, absolutely.
Later, have a good one.
Absolutely, bro. You too, man. So that's gonna wrap things up, everybody. We'll see y'all on the next episode. This is we're gonna holler at y'all a little bit later, man. Like, all right.
All right, Linzel.